Hi again, my name is Wale Akunayo. On this episode of Mailbox, I'd like to take a couple of questions. The first question for today speaks to a woman who is Japanese, Yumi, right, dating an Australian man. And there's been quite a number of frustrations along the lines of communication in terms of them not understanding one another. One of the lessons we learned essentially is the fact that love in itself is extremely patient. Love is kind and love is wonderful, right? And so when you tend to have those kind of frictions and stuff, interestingly, what you may call it now, we have new technologies that allows for certain conversations to be advanced. So you can have translators on, usually when you use an Apple iPhone an Apple phone, or there are certain apps on them that allows for direct translation without you losing anything. Now, it's important that you also understand the dynamics of what your relationship is on and about. How did you guys even get to meet each other in the first place? So enjoy the journey into learning new things. Enjoy the journey on having to communicate consistently using those particular apps. Now, when there are language barriers, there are opportunities for learning. There are opportunities for knowing new things, not just even about the language itself, about the culture of the people. Because when you do certain direct translation, you lose certain meaning. So it's an opportunity for you to learn a new thing about your man, and the man also to learn a new thing about Japanese culture and all of that. It's a little bit more interesting when you tend to get more interested about the other person's culture, well-being, and all of that. It brings a whole and a total dynamics. So what love is the fact that it is patient. So you've got to be extremely patient with one another in the learning process, and then it gets more interesting. So there is a particular couple on Instagram, an American woman who is married to an Italian, and there are certain things that they kind of do together that is quite interesting. So sometimes the woman knows that culturally Italians don't like to break their spaghetti, and so she tries to do that and then captures it using a video of some sort, and then you see the reaction of the guy is quite interesting, and you kind of laugh through those kind of process. And sometimes the man mispronounces certain English words and they laugh about it. So have some fun in your relationship. Ensure that what you're going through is just a process, all right? And then there will be those times where there will be synergy in terms of your language barriers and all of that. I hope that helps. Thank you. The next question, or the next story from Mailbox, speaks to a young chap, a 19-year-old boy from Nairobi, Kenya, and he recently admitted to his friends and family members that he's in love with a male best friend. The reactions were very negative, and it's made this period really confusing for him. He says, "I don't know how to handle this. Could you please guide me?" One of the interesting aspects of life in itself is the translation or the admittance of certain things about yourself in personal terms. The process of guiding you also have to be extremely open-minded about what this space really holds for you. Understand the nuances of where your parents and your family members and your friends are coming from. Culturally, it is out of place for them, and usually people try to push the bounds of whatever it is that they're not used to. That's one. Number two, the aspect of it not being a norm in an African setting would always, meet with some level of resistance. So are you also sure about your position, right? Because you've got to be, let's be open. When did you find out that you are who you are, so to speak? Now, listen to them in extreme terms, like why do they have this level of resistance towards you, right? So if you look at all the nuances and all of those things, you might be a lot more open-minded to hear from their perspective, all right, what this entire thing means for you. And honestly sympathize with you. One of the major challenges I've seen is this: before people begin to say things that this is who they are, so to speak, we need to agree on specific things. Is it possible for someone to say that they like to steal and so they are thieves? Would they be able to come out openly to say, you know what, accept me as a thief? Every challenge or every cultural things that are against the law, so to speak, and I'm sure this is against the law, you must find a way to reevaluate your position on those things. That's one. Number two, if you're having challenges, you might also want to speak to people. You might also want to pray about it. Now, if you go through all these three things that I've made mention of, you will be able to get into certain position, which might in some way convince you of your existing position that you've come to admit of, or bring some level of empathy from your family members and your friends, and then they can help you, guide you through, or walk you through whatever challenge that you are in currently. I hope that helps. The next question on Mailbox, and it speaks to age gap issue in my relationship, says, my name is Emily and I'm a 50-year-old woman from Montreal, Canada. I've recently started dating a man 20 years younger than me. The age gap might seem unconventional to many, but we are truly in love. I'm just unsure if we're heading in the right direction. Any insight will be helpful. So the space where you're convinced that both of you are meant to be together, right? The aspect of you not being sure, which is what I wanted to address, where you're heading to, right? The age gap, so to speak, suggests several level of things, right? A 20-year-old and a 50-year-old are on two pedestals, so to speak. What attracts or what is of interest to a 20-year-old will be totally different for what is of 50-year-old. There are certain nuances that still come out from a 20-year-old, except the 20-year-old is extremely mature in his way and pattern of behavior, so to speak. So if you're really unsure, there's nothing what you call it now, communication doesn't iron, right? So communication is the bane of any relationship. Age is never a situation, it's never a problem if you don't have a problem with it, and if the other party doesn't have a problem with it. We've seen several relationships that have thrived on the premise of the age gap, so to speak. There hasn't been any kind of problems. There are people also who are of the same age bracket who are having challenges. There are different dynamics as far as life is concerned. Age is not a concern. But if you think that the age difference, meaning that the man is not, or the woman is, the man can be matured and the woman can be childish, being that she's that much old, right? So the dynamics are quite different. So if you're going to have any kind of future, so to speak, that is on the premise of you being successful with your relationship, you have got to constantly have conversations. Areas in which there are flashpoints. What's making you feel this way? Understand the nuances of the person that you are with, not the opinions of people around you. Most of the time, opinions of people get into you, and then you start to rethink what you have with this particular person. Ensure that there is no form of interference. Now, I'm going to take something from the scriptures where it says that a man will live and cleave to his wife, right? Now, when there is no cleaving, when there is interference in your relationship by reason of a third party suggesting certain things to you, you are consistently going to have problems. If there are no situations from other people coming into your relationship and those decisions you're taking together are your decisions, no interference whatsoever. No, and when we speak about third party, it doesn't necessarily mean somebody is advising both of you. Third party could be Instagram, third party could be the internet, suggesting certain things to you in different places without you not having your own personal opinion. In situations like that, you've got to deal with that level of interference that is coming from the outside and ensure that your opinion remains your own opinion. When you started out, there were issues. So when you start having issues, it means that something else is getting into you. Deal with that and you would have a successful or a blissful relationship. Thank you. I hope that helps. God bless you. So we've come to the end of this particular episode of Mailbox. Join me on the next episode of Mailbox as we take other people's questions, and I hope it's been a blessing to you all. Peace.